Hi everyone, Jenn Pike here, founder of the Simplicity Project and the Hormone Project and the host of Simplicity TV. Welcome to part 2 of my 7-part series giving you simplicity tips to create an internal reset in your body. Many different systems we're talking about over the next couple of videos, all helping you understand the impact that they all have towards hormonal imbalance. Today is all about blood sugar. Have you ever had that feeling when you've gone for a long period of time without eating, where you get frustrated easy, your patience is low, you get nauseous, you might have a headache coming on, you are what we refer to as hangry, where you're that hungry, angry, and you're just like, somebody friggin' feed me something now or else. If you're like, yes, every day, in fact, that's how I feel right now as I'm listening to you, you suffer from hypoglycemia. That is a perfect example of having low, unstable blood sugar that are erratic. And when they're erratic, you feel erratic, and they can ultimately kind of take over the pace and flow of your day in your life. And what I mean by that is that if you are that person where you're like, oh my gosh, if I don't eat like every couple of hours, I am not the best version of myself. You are constantly in search of the next thing that's going to satisfy you for what sounds like this only, very short period of time, which means you're not hitting the mark on creating stable blood sugar. So how do you actually do that? How do you create this internal rhythm of balance and satiation, right? Feeling satisfied in your body so that you're not ravenous throughout the entire day and don't have to pack a cooler to go to work with you in case you forget and don't have something to have. So the first step is obviously what we talked about in our last video, which is optimize your digestion. One of the reasons that you probably have low blood sugar is that your body is not efficiently or effectively breaking down the food that you're consuming. One of the reasons it may not be breaking down that food well is you might not be making the best food choices. You might be choosing a lot of simple carbohydrates that burn up really quickly in your body. There's not the right ratio of fat and fiber and protein in your meals or in your food choices. So your body is, raising up its insulin levels very quickly. There's not enough fat, fiber, or protein to ground it, so the blood sugar levels drop really quickly, and your body's like, well, that was a good 90 minutes. Now I need you to go back and refill me again. And you've really trained your body into becoming this pure sugar burning machine. And I'm not talking today about becoming a fat burning machine or about a keto lifestyle or any of that stuff. That's a whole different kind of animal, no pun intended, on its own. But what I mean is actually just having overall balance so that you can still have the carbohydrates. You can still be having, obviously, the healthy protein, the fat, the fiber in there, but it's looking at what is the ratio and the synergy you have between those macronutrients so that you stabilize your leptin and your ghrelin, that you are supporting that switch being turned on with that hormone leptin, which is actually the hormone that says to you, I'm good, like I'm really stable, I've had enough. You can put the fork down, you can step away. Ghrelin is the opposing hormone. Ghrelin is your hunger hormone. I always refer to it as it's like the gremlin inside. When you feel your stomach growl, when you hear your stomach growl, that's your gremlin, that ghrelin that's saying, get me some food and go and get it for me now. This is all part of that process of when you start to feel your energy taking, cognitively, you've got that brain fog, like people can talk to you and you can see them and hear them, but you aren't really able to pay attention. This is all the behind the scenes stuff that's going on when real, true low blood sugar is happening, probably as well as some dehydration. So when you can start to eat in a way where, let's give you an example, instead of waking up in the morning and having, I'll use a smoothie as example because this is one way that we can actually do ourselves a disservice with something that could be really good. Your smoothie is combined with juice, yogurt, fruit, and that's it. So sugar on sugar on sugar. We blend it up. Even if you were to put a scoop of a protein powder in there or a handful of nuts, it probably isn't enough fat and fiber and protein in combination with the amount of quick releasing fructose that you've got from the fruit or from, the 20 some odd grams of sugar that might be in the vanilla flavored yogurt that you put in, the juice, which is really quickly absorbing into your body. It's just too much. So it's not that you couldn't take those ingredients and create something healthy out of them, it just might not be the best combination as a whole, especially if you already know that you're vulnerable to these blood sugar swings. So what's a better option? Well, you could use something like a more grounding homemade cashew milk, which has got more fat and more fiber and more protein as a base. You could add greens in, which are rich in fiber, high in minerals like iron and folate and some of your other different nutrients that you've got in there. It's also an incredibly alkalizing green to add into that smoothie. Then you could add in a scoop of plant-based protein powder or collagen or a bone broth protein powder, which is going to satiate you even more. Then you could add in a half a cup to a cup of frozen berries or half a banana, some mango, what you want to have, but I would say no more than 2 servings of fruit in there. Maybe you put a little bit of nut butter in there. Maybe if you didn't have that great cashew milk, you're adding in coconut water as your base, making sure it's one without a lot of added sugar. Maybe you've got some canned coconut milk or regular water, but you're always looking at, okay, where's my great source of plants in there? Where are my greens? Where are my little bit of fruit? Where's my fiber? Where's my fat? And you add that in and blend it up. That is going to turn ghrelin off. It is going to turn leptin on. So you turn the hunger cues off, you turn the satiating cues on, blood sugar is balanced, energy is stable, cognitive, mental clarity, and focus are on point and keep you on game for your day. Your cravings are not going to be through the roof. Your bowels are going to be happy as well too, because if you're getting all that fat and fiber, things are going to be moving well and not stagnant. You're hydrated from that smoothie. Overall hormonal balance, check, check, check has been achieved. And here's the most beautiful thing about this example, is that if you can start to eat and align your food choices more often than not, there are days where you're still going to, kind of be running after the next meal. Maybe you're in a meeting, you're caught in traffic, you didn't have a snack, it happens. But the overall picture I'm trying to communicate to you is that if you can follow those steps, your nervous system, once again, is not overstressed. Cortisol is kept at bay. It's only produced when it needs to be. Your adrenals are being reset right there in that meal, in that moment, which means your thyroid is also being taken care of. These are the small needle movers that we need to start to remind ourselves of more often, in thinking that it has to be something massive we have to change and shift. So maybe you need to watch this again. Maybe you need to take some notes. Maybe you really need to allow yourself this space and the opportunity for the simplicity of what I just explained to you to actually set in on a cellular level, so you remember it in any moment, whether it's your kitchen, a restaurant, takeout, whatever it may be, you can start to make your next best choice. I will see you all next time in part 3 of our 7-part Simplicity in 7 series. Have a fantastic day.